that's 8 minutes of me.
No, but it's on camera. It's all very funny.
Trying to get ready.
Ribbidi-bidi-doo.
Greetings, pals!
Hey.
Welcome to the podcast Story of the Pal. I'm Frank.
I'm Marcus.
I'm Tom.
Love it, I hate it, we debate it. It being movies.
That is your favourite thing to say lately.
Yeah, well, it bees.
Yep.
Today,
Good. People were wondering what it be.
what it be? Today we're talking about 10 things I hate about you.
Yes,
Oh,
we
really?
are.
Okay.
Tom's choice. This is Tom's
And
choice.
why do we, and on this podcast we rate films out of 11, but
do.
maybe today we do it out of 10?
Well, yeah, I would say that Kat decided 11 would have been too far. That's really the reason for this movie. She's like, that'll be mean if I go to 11. So I'll just do 10
Kat being
things.
Julia Stiles' character in the film.
Ah, Kat.
Cat.
So we're gonna are we going to go with out of 10 today? It's
like
as
Doja-
homage to the film.
No.
Oh God. Okay.
Because
Well,
then my score's way too high.
yeah, 1 is too high.
Yeah.
Tom, then why do we rate things out of 11?
Literally, no, it is the thing that I said. That's 100%.
Oh,
like, that was my bit.
That was your bit.
She decided
you
on 10.
prepared that.
Okay.
Good work.
Sorry, I didn't have it bees in my back pocket. I was really killing it earlier.
You should be. Shout your name if you like this film.
Marcus!
Frank.
Tom!
Yeah, duh. Of course we all
imagine.
like it. One of the greatest teen rom-coms of all time.
One of, if not the best.
Based
Kind of up
on Shakespeare, so it's got lots of interwoven plots and people out to get each other and mysterious deals.
That
and
aside,
backhanded
that
stuff.
aside, it's kind of great still.
Lots of iambic pentameter as well, which is
that
good.
gets
So we
name
got
dropped in this. And I pictured you like Leo in that meme going like, they said it.
Yeah. And also 10 things I hate about you. 10 syllables I talk about in the couplet of.
Yes. All great sentences end with of.
It be.
It be.
So sue me. All right, numbers, scores. Give me some of them.
Truly 10.
Whoa. 10.
That is actually how I feel about this movie, which I
Yeah.
know feels a little convenient. But
I'm going to go 9. And I think I know what's going to
No, because I feel cheeky if I put it as the same as my favourite film of all time. So it's 9.9.
Oh, damn.
It should be
I
10.
thought you were going to give this
secret 10.
Marcus.
Don't tell American Beauty.
yeah, whisper straight into the mic.
Oh, wait, the microphone's in front of me. This is better than American Beauty.
He's up there too,
A
though.
tiny bit, yeah.
It's not purely for the legacy.
Down, Chachi.
Great. Yeah.
I'll tick that off my list.
How
Okay.
good is that? What's that guy's name? Daryl Chill Wills or whatever the actor's name? Something.
Daryl Mitchell.
Daryl Chill Mitchell. Yeah, his middle. They call his like
The
stage
Chill.
name is Daryl
He's
Chill
known as the
Mitchell.
Chill.
He's not chill
Mr.
at all.
Morgan. You know, he's great.
Yeah.
He's so
He
good.
is so good.
Someday you're gonna get bitch slapped. I ain't gonna do a thing to stop it. Oh, so good.
I think it's a really good assignment. Office.
Out.
Now.
Get out of my class. Get out. And then in the outtakes.
Pinkies out.
Perkies.
Perkies.
Out. Perkies.
Perkies.
No.
Cut.
Start at the start. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry. We're getting so far ahead of ourselves. We're at the
Okay,
outtakes.
we're going to assume that everyone knows this movie fairly well, but let's give a quick synopsis?
Yeah,
or
go
just
on.
like starring?
What's the synopsis? I'm
Synopsis. A high school boy, Cameron, cannot date Bianca until her antisocial older sister, Kat, has a boyfriend. So, Cameron pays a mysterious boy, Patrick, to charm Kat. That doesn't cover it.
Not really. It's a bit of a burying the lead because which the movie does.
It's a bit hanging her hat on it, calling it a fan or something.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt,
Lampshade.
Julia Stiles, Heath Ledger, and the other girl.
Larissa
Elaine.
Oleanic.
Really interesting name.
Alex Mack.
I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen this movie 1,000 times. It wasn't until this.
Wait, is it? No.
Yeah, she's
no,
Alex
no,
Mack.
no, no,
Sorry,
no.
Marcus.
No, hold on. No.
You've seen this movie on average 15 times a
No,
year.
hold on.
And you don't know.
Man, he's the king
Hold
of,
on.
king of let me finish and won't let me
Hang
finish.
on. Go on.
Who? I knew her from Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. So
Is she the love interest in
Of
that
Joseph
with
Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, or are they?
Pretty sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So
And then they got married in real life.
I thought Alex Mack was a different actress entirely, just looked similar. I just thought she was just generic.
I thought she was Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
See, that's silly.
Yeah, and then I looked them
So
up and
who's
I was
the
like,
silly one now?
I was like,
In
I'm
the
way
room.
off.
Who's the silly one now, Frank?
So silly me. I was way off. And I looked it up and I was like, you know what? I was wrong. I was wrong. They
Pipe
don't
down,
look alike.
Chachi.
Okay. Also,
This is the movie somehow. that does this to us.
David Krumholtz.
David Krumholtz.
He
Amazing.
is fantastic.
He's so funny.
He's so as a teenage actor in this. Like they're all very good. But there's something so stoic and strong about him in his performance that it's like he's been doing this for fucking centuries. Like,
he looks like he's 50,
he owns
but also
that set.
20.
He is slightly older. Everyone else is basically 18, 19, and he's like 21, I think. So
Okay.
I know it's
Much
not
for
much,
muchness.
but it is just that thing where you're like, yeah, he does have that advanced look. Whereas I think Larissa Oleynik and Julia Stiles are like 3 months apart. They're both 18.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger's 19 when they're filming. I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt's 18. Weirdly enough, kind of hard to find the birth date for the guy who plays Joey, whose name I can't remember.
Andrew Keegan.
Andrew Keegan. His birthday's not on Wikipedia. A photo of him recently is, which people can check that out and try and carbon date him if they want. Bit tricky. But he was born in 1979, it turns out. So he was about 19 as well at the same time.
Sure.
He looks 30. Like a good-looking 30.
You reckon?
Joey does not look like a teenage man. No. He looks like...
No, Heath doesn't look like a teenage man.
Say again.
He does when he's in his
doesn't
singlet.
either. I
When he's in
agree.
his singlet, he does.
It's
amazing
he's
how
quite
He's
skinny.
lean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not saying like, but it's like,
I still
oh,
think he looks a lot older. He's got such a strong jaw. He's quite solid. He's
especially
tall.
next to like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is
Yes,
4
who
foot
looks
tall.
like a
He's like the miniature version.
He's Pinocchio come to life. Like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the only two in this movie who genuinely look like teenagers are Larissa Oleynik and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everyone else, you're like, were they all in their 20s? And it turns out they mostly weren't, but they just kind of looked a little older.
Andrew Keegan was in Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Was he really?
Isn't that funny?
How about that? He's also in one episode of House, which is the only other thing I've seen him in. But he's great as Joey. I was
Oh
saying,
yeah, and Frank, you were great in this film.
As who?
His
dad.
headshots are almost identical to your headshots. In fact, can we put that on the socials?
No.
I'm going to do a side by side.
who's in charge of the
amazing.
socials?
Yeah.
Marcus.
Sorry.
Reluctantly, I must now say, and Kath and I both agreed on this watching this the other day,
Careful.
you were also very good in this film.
God damn it.
As the
It's not,
dad.
it's not going to be the it's not going to be the nice one.
I do think there was a time, you know, the years, they have done what they will. But there was a time where when you were like at the same age and the same length hair, you and Heath did share a
God.
remarkable resemblance.
take it.
I do genuinely have moments where I look at Heath and I'm like, wow, that reminds me of Marcus a lot.
Do you know who reminded me of Tom in this film? I don't know if there's no joke that's better than that.
That's just giggling.
It's got to be, is it Bogey or Fogey?
No, it's Alison Janney.
Oh my God, let's go with Bogey. That's way better though.
Bogey,
Definitely.
Yeah, Bogey, the guy who plays golf and is rich and wears sweaters.
Yeah.
That's that guy.
He's straight out of Animal House.
Now
That's
remember,
what I heard.
guys, don't touch anything.
Yeah. He's
He's
literally
actually pretty funny.
That must
copy
be
and paste.
Lionel with debris.
He's copy and paste from Animal House.
See, I thought you were going to say that was me.
No,
you're the dad.
That's
100%.
kind of
I'm
funny,
not the
actually.
dad.
No, that is funny.
Ooh, I like that.
Larry Miller, he's fantastic.
He's Everyone
No
is a
animal
strong
rituals of
cast.
any kind. Oh God, I'm giving them ideas.
put on the belly before you go.
He's so
And
funny.
hell is just a sauna.
You know what she said to me? She said, I should have listened to my father. Daddy, she did not. Well, that's what she would have said if she wasn't so toto.
What about? Thanks, Bill.
Everything he says in this movie is great and then very actually quite touching near the end as well. We're jumping all over the place. We love this
We
movie.
are.
Our
Yeah, yeah.
generation was, I don't know about you guys, I was raised by this. This was
Me
one of those
too. Me
DVDs
too.
where I would, whenever the adults had a party and there were kids anywhere between the age of 7 and 15 and they went down the DVD room, chances are we put this on.
Tom, how many...
DVD room.
The DVD,
wow.
yeah,
he actually had a
rich,
DVD room.
Rich,
Yes.
very, very
It
rich.
was
How
a
many- how many
fireplace
times-
with a blanket in front of it, basically.
And a whole bunch of dead huntsmen as well.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Maybe not so rich anymore. No. This sounds like a dungeon.
Yeah. How many times on average would you watch this, do you reckon? A year?
On average, how many times?
Well, back in those days, 6 every fortnight.
I
With your
would.
partner.
I think there is one movie that I can genuinely say I've watched more than this, and that would be Starship Troopers. I reckon
Wow.
I reckon I've seen Starship Troopers like 60 times.
Yeah, yeah,
Probably this would be like high 40s.
Wow.
Maybe like even 50. So watching it the other day, I was like, yeah, I know every line.
Flick and I watch this maybe once a month. It feels
Oh, okay.
this is absurd.
Almost as much as
Like,
Interview with the Vampire.
This is Flick. Like I love this film. Yeah, I know. This is Flick's comfort film.
yeah.
Big
It's
time.
I mean, a
comfort
lot of
movie.
people's coming
Yeah.
film.
Also, Cat is my flick, flick is my cat. Just going to put that out there now. This has always been a big thing for me, but I've always found them to be very similar. Love it. Don't regret saying.
What do you like? What's so similar about them?
Just fiercely independent and just know who they want to be, you know?
Heinous bitch is the term used most often.
Okay, wow.
I love you for listening.
Tunecid.
Perfect.
So funny.
Quotable. Endlessly quotable film.
Amazing. So Gil Younger.
Gil Younger is how his name's pronounced. I had to look it up.
Okay, I was way off.
Yeah.
He
Gil
directed
Younger.
this film. We should give props to him, although
He then did
nothing.
go on.
Then did
Black Knight, a movie I've inexplicably seen.
Is that the Martin Lawrence?
Yeah. Yes, which is what if Martin Lawrence was in medieval times and shenanigans will ensue, which they do.
Well, they just took him back in real time and he
But
just
you
improvised.
could just imagine the pitch for Martin Lawrence in the late 90s, early 2000s was The Black, and then they just rolled some dice and saw what came up and went, yep, The Black Janitor. Like, let's do it. Whatever. You know?
It's a great. This is like back in the
That's
day.
almost one of the funniest things you've ever seen. I'm sorry.
Back in the day where films like that just happened, they would just do a concept.
That sent me. Sorry. I'm actually crying for some reason. Go on.
Well, he also then went on to do the 10 Things I Hate About You TV show.
Oh, yeah.
And Larry Miller was in it as well.
Really?
Yeah, he reprised the role as Mr. Stafford. Right, that's their last name.
Why did they do that?
Yeah. I mean, Larry Miller's great whenever he's in anything. He's great in The Princess Diaries, a movie we shan't talk about, but that I did watch. And Larry Miller is, what's his name? Carlo?
Why did you watch Princess Diaries?
No reason.
Tell the listener.
Because I'm an idiot.
I wasn't raised right. I don't read to the end of sentences.
It be.
That's not explaining.
Oh, I watched The Princess Diaries because Marcus suggested Princess Bride for one of the films that we were going to do. We've already done this in a bit. We've covered this.
I don't think we have.
Yeah, okay.
I just wanted you to acknowledge it.
Anyway,
All right. So
Larry Miller's very funny.
written by Karen McCulloch, Kirsten Smith, and William Shakespeare, of course, as we've said. But these two, Karen and Kirsten, have done what? She's the Man, this. I just thought you would know.
I'm actually not sure about this.
I'm
but
glad
that's-
you
They
brought
have
that up.
such a good, legacy.
They're good.
Well, I do not like She's the Man.
The House Bunny. You don't like
The House Bunny, based on Macbeth, famously. So this is what they do.
The Ugly Truth, based on what? Cymbeline?
Yes. Cymbeline, you fuck.
So sue me.
I have an acting degree. I know.
Legally Blonde. Legally Blonde was the other one that they did as well, which
love
is
Legally Blonde.
awesome.
Yeah, that movie rules.
Oh, Doyle rules.
Do you know? I'm sorry, I have to. Do you know the guy who's kind of on the spectrum in Legally Blonde, who's like really tall and really awkward?
You're not in Legally Blonde.
Yes, no, I'm there. 100%.
Oh, okay, go on.
The guy who's he's part of the study group that Elle gets going.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he directed Longlegs. His name's Osgood Perkins, and he's the director.
As Dorky David.
Dorky David. Yeah, he directed Longlegs. Very weird. Anyway, Legally Blonde rules. Okay. She's the Man is fine.
No,
I agree with you. I think it's
the
okay.
more I watch it, the more I despise it.
Sure.
I used to like it, and then the more I watch it, honestly, I'm like, this is actually not great.
You hate soccer and assertive women, so how could you like it?
Sure.
It's too close to home. Yeah. There's a bit of distance with 10 Things I Hate About You.
Anyway, I think this is
10
stronger.
Things
I Hate About You is
stronger.
far stronger.
This movie's a masterpiece.
But She's the Man is like also at a similar level of quotableness. The cast isn't as strong. That's it.
All right. I'm not with you on that one. I'm not going to.
That's fine. Hey, agree to disagree.
I would give She's the Man like a 7. Like, I'm not going to go bad for it, but I enjoy it. I have to watch it a lot with my students. But it is based on 12th Night and then 12th. And then 10 Things. Sorry, Marcus.
If I'm comparing the two, sorry, because I cut
That's
you
all
off.
right.
But if we're comparing the two, She's the Man to me is far too not slapstick, but it's cringy.
I
right?
agree.
Whereas this, for a teen, whatever it is, just hits the mark with everything. Like it's so quotable.
Yeah.
It's so real. The soundtrack's phenomenal. The ensemble cast is great. Like, it's hard to point out someone who's genuinely weak. There's some moments even in 10 Things where you're like, it's a crowd scene or something. You're kind of like, oh, you can imagine being on set for this shot, for example.
There's one extra they're at the prom, and it's when Joey has just hit Joseph Gordon-Levitt Cameron, and the one extra who's directly behind them. So it's like a close-up of him, and he's like, oh, yeah.
Is he really into
oh,
it?
watch out. Oh, yeah. But he's being silent and kind of like still kind of dancing.
Wow.
It's so weird because then in the credits, it's like the behind the scenes, and they're making jokes about the punch and stuff, and he's still there going, "Oh, yeah."
I thought you were going to talk about the guy who there's the drunk girl who throws herself at Heath Ledger, and she's like, "Kiss me," and Heath Ledger goes, "Kiss him," and gives it to somebody. He's like, "Hey,
"Thank you, man."
thanks." And 10 minutes later, walks past him. He's like, "Really? Really, thank you." And my favorite thing about this movie is it never passes up the opportunity to get a gag. It's like, what can we do?
Yeah.
Let's shoot the guy in the ass with an arrow, right?
Yeah.
Let's have
And
that.
then-
And no one acknowledged it except Gabriel Union. Everyone just kind of keeps going about their day.
And then it's called back to.
when he goes to sit down
Yeah.
in detention.
It's amazing.
Larry Miller with his exercise thing getting flung out of his hands.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which
Which is a great joke, and then has a second. There's always a follow up joke
Yes.
to almost everything.
Fogey? Have we established as Fogey? Because every time I hear
Fogel.
Bogey Lowenstein.
it is Bogey.
Bogey Lowenstein.
Bogey. Because it was always changed between F and B. I could never tell what
I think they keep getting his name wrong to symbolize that no one really cares. Like Joey,
that what it is?
Joey at one point calls him like Bogey Lowenbrow or something, just to kind of be like, yeah, I don't really know this guy, but we're going to go to his party.
It's Bogey Lowenstein.
yeah, Bogey Lowenstein.
Yeah, Bogey's teeing off into an open stadium of people who are
Yeah.
all working out and
This
shit.
school,
Yeah.
there's no H&S.
It's insane.
And they all play so many sports. Again, rich. It's
Yes.
a rich school for sure.
Hooray.
Have you guys
Crazy.
seen Booksmart?
No.
My
it's
favorite
on
thing
my
about
list.
Booksmart and Bottoms, two movies in the last few years, is the cues they take from this, where they're like, quietly, 10 Things I Hate About You is a bit of a surreal film. It's like, this is not a real high school. And we get that right from the start when Alice and Janney, something gets thrown at the window and she goes, "Same little asswipe shit for brains everywhere." And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, as our audience surrogate, is like, what did she just say? Like,
Am I in the right
You're not allowed
office?
to speak that way.
Yeah.
And then she's constantly making sexual references and writing her novel about Reginald's
Bratwurst.
quivering member.
Bratwurst.
Quivering member.
Yeah.
I like that. So good. And yeah, we're invited to be like, yeah, you guys get it. We've done a lot of high school movies before. This one's kind of at odd angles. There are things happening. One of my favorite shots is them throwing the pamphlets for Bogey's party to
Incredible
to
shot.
Sexy Boy and brilliant sexy boy.
Yeah.
And then a few minutes later, when everyone's going to the party, and it's like, yeah, you know how parties are. Everyone shows up at once in a giant mob, like they're going to attack. It's just
hilarious
100
The
people.
pamphlets are like, don't call, just turn up.
But the precursor to that, like you said, it's like, oh, that must be Nigel with the breeze.
Yes.
Nigel
And then
with the breeze.
Immediately,
chaos.
door
Remember,
gets kicked in.
Don't touch anything.
It's so good.
is
It's
so
so good.
He also looks twice the age of the kids he's hosting.
Oh,
this
he
party.
looks like a
It's so
teacher.
weird.
In his
Yeah,
30s.
It's weird.
If you're going to fight, take it outside.
Straight to the window.
It's so funny. This movie never sits still. It's always
Yeah.
like, what can we do next? What can we do next?
It's packed full. It absolutely is.
The montage of the boys that they go to try and get to date Cat.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe if we were the last two people on Earth and there are no sheep. Are there sheep? Like, who the fuck wrote this? This movie is
Yeah.
incredible. It's so much funnier and more inventive than
There's a really
90% of movies.
if we're just talking about moments we love. There's
yeah.
a really great moment in the science lab when the boys are talking about using Patrick as their thing, you know, their target, their mark.
Yep.
And they're kind of staring at him, and then he catches them staring at him, and they look away real quick, and then he like still looking at them, just starts putting his hand casually through the Bunsen burner.
Yeah, just playing
But
with
he
the
doesn't look
flames.
at the Bunsen burner or like go back to that. He's still looking at them, and then just his hand just decides to just magically start.
Yes.
It's very funny.
And then he drills through Cameron's book.
Yeah.
Then Michael goes to Joey and gets the dick drawn on his face
Yeah.
quite well, I would say. Like
It's
very,
not a
very,
bad dick.
very economic.
But,
I had that done to me at high school.
David Krumholtz had to teach him how to draw it because he couldn't draw it a little too big.
That's so funny.
Hey, this is how a dick looks.
I-
Maybe you hadn't seen one.
young Eugene Levy, right?
For sure. But also
sure.
Jake Johnson from New Girl. Like Nick
Yes,
Miller.
that's so
that
true.
same
And kind of
archetype.
an Oscar Isaac as well-ish, although Oscar Isaac's like the Chad version of them all.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
What are you
At my
way off with
see
that.
it,
when
but-
I was in grade 9, my second or third day at my new school, a guy ran over to my table and introduced himself. It's like, "Hey, my name's Josh," and just drew on my face and ran away. And I was like, "Oh, did he write Josh?" And I went and looked in the mirror, and he'd done the perfect dick from 10 Things I Hate About You. And I couldn't be mad. I was like, it's so impressive that you can do that quickly, and it looks pretty good, right? You know? That's my story of getting a dick on my
You
face.
couldn't be mad.
You couldn't be
You
mad.
probably should have been.
No, well, I
Probably
wasn't.
stood up for yourself, man. God. Who don't we like in this movie? Who's your weakest link if we're going to love everyone?
Yep. Okay.
Probably Larissa, but I think she still does
Yeah,
what is necessary.
I wrote a note about this because I was like, look, I don't see I don't see the infatuation. I said this to Flick. I was like, there's the opening scene where Cameron's walking through the school. He's getting
The
all
intros
the
of all
clicks,
the-
all the clicks and stuff, which again, in a teen film is done to death. Like this whole thing is so cliched and full of tropes and still
But it's
nails
it's not. Well, I wouldn't say it's subverting them, but it's just
little
like
bit.
it's slanting.
It's
just
taking
like
them to a little
Yeah.
bit more of an extreme.
Extreme
it's
level,
like these
yeah.
guys are dressed like Bob Marley. These guys are dressed like dudes drinking cappuccinos in Town Square or Times Square.
These
These
the
guys,
cowboys.
yes,
Yeah.
they're literal cowboys.
lassoing a bin.
These
Yeah,
guys look
classic.
like Wall Street yuppies. Like they come to school
Yeah,
dressed like this.
it's so funny.
Who does this?
I know.
It's so extreme.
Anyway, Cameron walking through, getting the tour, and then he's just like, as he sees her walking through. And I'm like, and every
Does
time
the
I
scene
see
from
the
The
scene,
Mask.
I'm like, I don't get it. Like, and Flick goes, well, no, because one, she's just not your type. And I was like, okay, fair. And two, she's that cutesy girl next door thing that Cameron's just like, and again, we've already nailed it. Like, they are both the youngest looking. It's sort of evenly matched. It's
Good
perfect.
casting for
They're
them,
in
the two of
Third
them.
Rock together. The chemistry is obviously there.
Yeah.
I get it now, I guess, but I still don't see her as being like the hottest chick at school. Like,
Yeah.
I still don't buy Joey using
This is-
her as a target.
No, this is a point I kind of liked. I was like, I love the casting of Julia Stiles. She's beautiful, but she's fairly plain, and they dress her plain. There's not a lot of makeup, no effort in the hair because
Absolutely.
that's her character.
They give her
I
that
love
tomboyish.
Yeah, which
as
is
well,
great.
yeah.
And Larissa is very pretty. She's a gorgeous girl, but
She's wearing floral things.
But
you
it's
know.
also sort of downplayed. She's not like this total babe. It's not like she's a mean girl. She's just a normal person.
Yeah. Okay.
I really like that. I really love the casting. And I think
Okay.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, like Heath Ledger is a dreamboat and Joey's a dreamboat. But like Joseph Gordon-Levitt's relatively normal looking.
He's cute.
He's cute, but
Joey's
that's like
the perfect douchebag.
it's not Chad Michael Murray.
Joey's great.
You know what I mean? It's not Ashton Kutcher. It's not these boys who are like dreamboats, teen idols back
Oh,
then.
the
love-
30-year-olds playing.
I
the
love we're just
18-year-olds.
getting our types out of the way.
There we are.
This is us just being like, let me
but
give
this
you
is-
my Venn diagram.
I watch One Tree Hill. Of course, I love Chad Michael Murray.
All right.
This is
He can shoot
obviously Heath Ledger's going to be a fucking star. When you see
Language.
him in this, like you see him in this, and you're like,
It's
this
his first
guy,
American film.
he has to be
Blow
big
up.
from this, right? Yeah, for sure. I see the comparison between him and Joseph. I see that Joseph being a younger version of him. Like you can see they've got sort of
If you-
slightly squintier eyes.
If
They've
you
both
put
got,
their
like,
face on top of each
similar-
other's face, it's
Yeah.
very similar, but I think they're entirely different.
They've got a very different persona.
Yes.
And size. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like they're just
Yeah, the hips. The
Yeah.
hips are different.
My
hips are
hot
tiny,
take,
tiny.
and I don't know if this is intentional, but I think it works and plays well with the film. I think Heath Ledger takes a while to get going in this. To the point where, because I've seen it 1,000 times, hadn't seen it in maybe 5 or 6 years, and I was watching it the other day and I was 25 minutes in and I was like, is Heath not good in this? Like, have I misremembered this and he's a little off? And it's not that he's bad. Initially, he's just kind of whatever. You're not really meant to pay
He
attention
starts
to him.
playing the game a bit, right?
So much more, and he starts coming out of his shell.
Because the "Hey girly" line is really jarring.
It
You remember
is.
he goes,
You,
hey girly.
you feel him straining there and trying
Yeah.
to be charming. But the scene with him and Alison Janney at the start, when he goes into her office, he's really almost asleep in that scene.
Doesn't
He's
do
very
much.
just like, I was joking with the lunch lady. It was a bratwurst, sort of thing. And they're like, yeah, wow, you're not engaged.
Do
and I
less,
think
man.
that's the point
Yeah.
for his character. But it is kind of a
But
little.
also, this is his 8th visit this week or something. Didn't you
Sure,
say?
he's there every
so he's
day.
like,
I
here
think
we
it
go
makes
again, going through the motions.
as an actor, I think that decision makes sense, and also
might be.
in the structure of the film, it makes sense because he doesn't really come alive in terms of going, oh, he's great. The fire, the drilling, when he's like, whoa, he's dangerous, he's got an edge, but it's the scene at the party when this cat gets a concussion.
Immediately.
Immediately, you go,
I love this man.
wow, what a guy.
Even just him standing at the door waiting for her and smiling.
Yeah.
But going to the club to see her as well. There's so many things that happen.
And of course, it's just.
Do you mind you're ruining this for me? That moment.
Do you mind? You gotta
Oh,
ruin
yeah,
this
Do you
yeah.
film.
mind you're ruining this for me?
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. That
seeing
whole
you
club
up there,
scene,
I've never
yeah.
seen you look so
Sexy.
sexy.
And yeah.
So good.
Great. And
Great.
again, like another very cliched moment and somehow super endearing. Her reaction to that in that moment,
Yes.
Also
she's so good at this.
perfect.
Yeah.
because she doesn't overplay that either. That's a very understated reaction to that. She kind of just like quietly giggles to it a little bit.
She's a very good actress.
She's
very
wonderful.
good.
Yeah,
Their
until Save the Last
chemistry.
Dance.
Chemistry is outstanding.
Then she's insanely good in Save the Last Dance. That's why her dancing's not as good in this. Because
That's how she got that role. Like, wow, she can really dance, kind of. We'll
She
give her a
can, when
dance
she gets
movie.
down on her knees, you're like, okay, this is getting a little. But
Yeah,
for a couple of
get her down on your knees,
shots
that's
there.
tough.
But
I'll tell you
she's-
who I didn't like in this film was Bianca's friend.
Gabrielle Union.
Yeah.
Really?
She's
From Bring It On?
she's
Yeah.
just mean. There's not really much to
Yeah,
her.
I would say doesn't get much to do.
Sort of
but I
similar
love
to-
her in the start.
Can you ever be Yeah.
I know you can be
overwhelmed and underwhelmed, but you ever just be whelmed?
I think you can in Europe.
Yeah, and
And
I
it's
like my
it's a
sketches,
Mean
but I
Girls
love my
line. It
Prada
feels like
backpack.
it's fresh out of Mean
Yes.
Girls.
That's because you don't have a Prada backpack.
It is true. These are lines that are
You're forcing me to find a weaker character. I was just
Yeah,
saying that
I think
like-
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is my
well,
weaker
and it's
link.
Kat's friend as well, who's
Yeah.
kind of just
In love
there
with Shakespeare.
and she has a couple of good lines.
I forgot about her.
She's a pretty big non-entity in the movie,
Ha!
but she
Yeah,
does
okay.
have the one scene that's beautiful when she comes to the prom and then she sees Michael on the stage dressed
yeah,
up,
yeah.
and them together is actually quite sweet, which
very
is
cute.
miraculous because you're like, she's not a character, and yet this sort of works.
But yeah, you're in that world. You're buying into everything. Plus, we love David Krumholtz, so we're like, if he's getting a win,
he's so good in this.
he's so good.
love
My
David
balls.
How do
Man.
we feel about? Because I had to mark it down for something. I was like, there's a couple of things in this film that's always not sat right with me. The insertion of the actual Shakespeare dialogue.
Love it.
I love it too.
Do you?
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
goofy, but in a really winning
It
way.
is.
Because in the way that it's like Cameron, of course, it goes was I pine,
I burn.
Yeah.
You know.
that one in particular is one that I'm like,
It's very like yes, it's based on Shakespeare.
Yeah, I
you
prefer the
know.
Easter eggs. I don't mind subtle Easter eggs throughout, or even just him dressing as Shakespeare at one point and her being infatuated with
Yeah.
the Shakespeare character is probably a bit too on the nose for me.
Yeah,
I think just take the story and have your Easter eggs hidden throughout.
But what would you hide? Like you've got a little shrew somewhere.
Well, Kat, she was a shrew for sure.
They actually say the shrew. You've met the shrew.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he says that at some point. And
Yeah.
then Ledger
that's
goes,
good. That's fine.
so you're going to help me tame the wild beast. And it's
Yes.
like, I didn't say shrew.
Yeah.
What is it with this chick? She got
See,
beer flavored nippers.
That's fine.
So
I think
good.
that's
What's
a clever
nippers?
use of it.
Nippers.
Yeah.
It's like nipples, but it's Australian.
I pine, I burn, I burn, I whatever.
I
like
Bjorn,
that.
baby
Yeah,
Bjorn.
I Bjorn.
Baby Bill.
It doesn't really hit the notes for me.
When they're in the
That's-
cafeteria and he's like, sacrifice yourself on the altar of like indignity or whatever. He's like, don't say shit like that to him. People can hear you. It's not a scene in this movie goes by where I don't go like, I love that. I love that moment. I
Yeah.
love it.
It's very smartly written.
It is. It's a very
good.
quietly clever
I
film.
was going to say before, the awesome thing is also, what was this? What year did it come out?
99.
99. Heath Ledger, full consent. She's drunk, doesn't do anything.
Yep.
And it's very easy to see, and that's how it's done. So, like, hey, here's a life lesson,
True, it's
boys.
very straightforward.
So good.
It's very simple, and it's like it's a shame that should have to be an aspirational thing. But it is true. He kind of goes like, "I'm the bad boy in this movie, and I'm not going to make out with a drunk chick."
Yeah.
I will say, Kath and I had a
He's not
conversation.
the bad boy in the movie, though.
He's presented as that, and then it turns out he's not really.
Yeah.
The thing that I found a little bit strange watching it this time that I hadn't really picked up on years previous, obviously with the sort of, basement dwelling incels of the world emerging more and more online. Cameron has a tiny bit of that energy, which it hasn't aged great. When he's in the car with Bianca at the end and he's like, I was nice to you and I defended you and I did all this for you and you
I learned French,
you're
man.
not even gonna let me nut. It's like, okay, man, like you gotta calm down, bro. You are not entitled to anything
Yes.
because of all this.
That's a good
the
point.
thing that
Not
I go
entitled.
like, but I don't hate Cameron. I just think that some of that stuff's a little. And Kath picked up on the line, don't ever let anyone feel like you don't deserve what you want. And I'm like, that's a nice sentiment that can obviously be twisted the wrong way.
Yeah.
But I do think, especially when he starts it with, you're not half the man Joey is. How does this movie sell us on this when it's like they've had 2 conversations? And somehow I believe him that he actually knows
Time
Cameron
has
as well.
passed, and again, it's just comes down to chemistry.
There's a world.
We believe these actors. We love them.
Yes.
and we
we
just
love
believe what they say.
the paintball scene.
I
We
do.
Love the
me
paintball
too,
scene.
Me too.
Very
The
goofy.
kiss in the
Well,
haystack
it's the-
is cute, and
It's one of the best kisses of all time.
What's the song playing in that scene? That I should be able to remember, but I can't right now.
Is
I
it
can't.
paintball time? Come on, a paintball time.
Oh my god!
No,
it
that's-
is. No, it is.
yeah, that's
No,
it.
it is.
That's
That's
it.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
That's that one from Frozen, isn't it? It's weird how they had that 14 years earlier.
Speaking of the soundtrack, it is very
God.
good. Obviously.
This is a great soundtrack. Do we
Can
have
I-
it? Oh.
This is a banger, actually. Are you ready, Steve? I've already made this joke.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Okay,
then. I missed it.
I'll retime that for you.
No, it's good.
I love the scene at the end where it's like, how did they get all that gear on the roof?
Yeah, that's great.
One, and then just the epic helicopter shot to finish the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How awesome.
And you actually
Great
get in
idea.
the credits
They're like-
as you see the big push. It's like helicopter pilot is
Yeah.
credited.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
as he fucking should
They're
be.
like,
Yeah.
hey guys, before we wrap this, we're definitely under budget. So what we're gonna do?
No, I think they were over budget. They're like, so we have to just
We think something.
extras are carrying gear up the
Yeah.
stairs, put it up. But it's set up. They've got like full foldback speakers. It's not just like for show. It's set up like a gig.
Yeah.
It's just little moments, little
Incredible.
tidbits, details that
Can
matter.
I read you
yeah.
my favorite review of this review of the film?
Oh,
10 things I love about the film.
Yeah.
Sweet, yeah.
I
Yeah,
read
go on.
because again, it's a film that we all love. I had a weird feeling we're all going to come in swinging for it. I wanted to look at the 1 stars on this film. Just be
yeah.
like, what's the negative on this film? This is a good one. I'm going to read it verbatim. Here we go.
I should try read it.
I pee my pants.
Good movie, but very definitely an R.
Oh.
The PG-13 is a truly inept rating. And that's the subject header.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
How long is this? How long?
No,
have we got?
it's short. Okay, here we go. This is not a PG-13 movie you see with your children unless you are a particularly emancipated adult. What is happening here? How in the world this ever got less than an R is utterly beyond me. The Matrix got an R, and this gets a PG-13?
Did the Matrix get an R?
It did.
Did it? Give me a break. This was a terribly embarrassing movie to see with my 12 and 15-year-old daughters. I expected a PG-13 adaptation of Shakespeare. Here we go. I got a nearly NC-17 rating. As an R movie, I would have liked it, but have left the girls at home?
Would have left the girl.
Would have left the
What?
girls. So they PG their pants.
What?
Almost there. I don't actually know now I said that. The ratings in America and the ratings we get here, obviously the Matrix was M here. It might have been R in the States. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because Americans are
Maybe,
soft.
maybe it wasn't because they tend to do that for violence, but there's no real sex in the Matrix.
This is
They just
perfect
swear.
for 12 and
Swearing?
15-year-old daughters.
Literally.
Yes, it's
designed
very
for.
silly. But it's like they
These
say,
parents obviously out of touch and goes, well, my children haven't hit puberty yet. It's like, they probably have.
She came to watch a play of Romeo and Juliet, I think.
Also, shaming of the shoe is like, doesn't the husband torture his wife
yeah,
and like starve her until she's
Petruchio,
tame?
whatever his name is.
It's
but-
like Patrick is
Very
Petruchio.
strange.
But people go, oh, well, this was Shakespeare. It's more refined. It's more, sophisticated.
Shakespeare was a yobbo.
Shakespeare was dropping
Filthy.
like C-bombs in his plays for people to find. In like 12th Night, there's like, cunt jokes in there. So it's like, that's like
Oh, come on,
It
Tom.
truly is. It's in there. It's
You
great.
can't say that here.
It's a great bit. Oh, that beep was late.
I missed it.
It was late or loud?
No, late.
Oh, yeah.
And loud.
And loud.
It's very silly that someone would think that
it's
because they
crazy.
say the word shit, they say the word dick once.
I have a dick on my
and-
face, don't I?
No, twice then. The whole cheerleading squad would find out how tiny his dick is. Also gets said, in a very funny
Also, I
bonding
do
moment.
love that little side story of Joey and Kat hooking up.
I think it does lend the film a lot more texture and it makes you believe in the ecosystem of these people's lives. Just like you were saying before, like we know time has passed.
I did say ecosystem of these people's lives.
No, you're right. Sorry. I
Yes.
upped it a little.
That makes sense that
yeah.
I would say that.
No, that was erroneous of me. I apologize. But like there is a genuine sense that things are playing out off screen. And prior,
Yep.
I think the little bit underdeveloped thing is to do with the mum.
Did she die or did she leave?
She left. And that's Kath and I are sitting there like going, not to be, not to bring this into the real world too much, but like these girls got to like 15, 16 in an upper middle class or like a comfortable middle class suburb and the mum left? What? In what world? Like
And-
this doesn't really...
And why? And wouldn't the daughters maybe like this? They're not.
They've lost contact with her. They never
They
talked
don't
to
speak to her again.
Did she
then-
not? She didn't die. She just left.
She left. It's
left.
like it's
Yeah.
not like she's mum
And didn't take her
when
pearls.
mum
Crazy.
left and all this
Honestly.
sort of stuff.
Didn't
Didn't
take
take
her
her pearls. But I was saying it's kind of, there's a similar plot point in Juno, which is interesting. Although in Juno, she does keep in contact with her mum. Her mum sends her a cactus every year for her birthday, which is
Also,
an interesting
Alice and
detail.
Janney, amazing.
Also Alice and Janney, true. But very, very weird detail in this movie. I don't think that's the part that works with the bond between the daughters so much.
Because you would think it would bring them closer together as a trio of a family if their mum had left and like
Yeah,
you know,
but that's coming from two like boys. Like I think sisters
maybe
are just an opposing force by nature. I think
It's more that
more times than not. I think that's just like, or it's one or the other. But I just think that's the path.
I'm surprised that they're not more like messed up.
I don't think they
Yeah.
bring
Like-
it up enough for it to be specific, and I don't think it's hinted at enough to be sort of an ambient property of their family. It just feels like and by the way, and I'm like, well, that doesn't really. Whereas the conversation they have about Joey and Katerina revealing that she had sex with him
Just after mum left,
quietly a little bit heartbreak just after mum left,
which
and that
that makes sense because
works a little.
but you're looking for love.
But then Bianca's like, why would you not tell me that?
Yeah.
Like, what? And at the same time is feeling like, well, Katerina's entitled to her privacy and that's not about you. But then when you see her going with Joey, she goes to tell her at the party, but it doesn't quite come out. And I get that. I get that sort of feeling like a misuse or a misabuse of trust. It leads to one of the most beautifully and sort of like iconically melodramatic shots of the movie, which is as Sister Hazel's Your Winter plays. It zooms in on Kat's window and we see Bianca on a swing down in the backyard, just like, like I
I'm a little
love
depressed.
that shot.
I do love the scene, that we're just talking about and then it's like, I was trying to protect you and she was like, I'm allowed to experience things for myself. And it's like, you can see both sides.
You can.
Of course you agree
You
with
can't
both
always
of them.
trust who you want to, Bianca. Well, I guess I'll never know.
Yeah.
And it's very well written. It's very sharp. I think it's a really lovely movie. I want to say something real quick, just Butler's Pantry, if that's all right, just about this movie's legacy.
Legacy.
Fucking hell.
Amazing. I slipped. I apologize.
Shouldn't have left that loot sitting at the top of the Butler's Pantry. We have an app
Go on.
called Letterboxd. And I don't know if you guys know this.
Are they paying you?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay, sure. They shouldn't be. Go on.
Why do we care about this?
This is interesting to me. This is a film that you would think
To you,
only matters to maybe it'll be interesting to other people. Maybe let him finish. This is a film that we grew up with. We're in our 30s.
Yeah.
Letterbox skews towards a younger generation, tends to be people between 18 and 25, although the next demographic is 26 to 35. If you look for each decade, you can see what the most popular films are. What do you think? Where would this film be in the 90s? Just at a guess.
Hold on. Rephrase the question.
What number in the list of most popular films of the 90s?
in the decade of the 90s?
In the decade of the 90s. I'll tell you it's in the top
this-
20.
Yeah, I was
Is
going
it
to say
top 20?
11th.
It's 6. This is the 6th most popular 90s film on Letterboxd with kids between the ages of,
Glad I got to
or young
guess.
people 18 and 25. You misunderstood
That
the
was a
question
fun
from the
game.
get. You had
Fun game.
Maths was not your strong suit. but
I give it 100.
Wait. Just let me. I reckon 6th.
okay.
Whoa.
I reckon it was all 20. So kids 18 to 25 love this movie, and it's because it has this weird legacy with quotable moments. You know, lines like the overwhelmed and underwhelmed live on TikTok, like in infamy, right? Other lines throughout this movie, Larry Miller's lines are, we're screwed. Hey, I don't want to hear that defeatist attitude. We're screwed. That exists. But obviously the bit we haven't talked about is Heath Ledger's song.
Dude, I was going to bring this up.
Go
If
ahead.
it's part of your band. No.
No,
wait.
that's all I was going to say.
Oh,
That
so
That's your
the
pantry.
iconography.
It's
and
popular on.
I was just going to say that it easily has to be, and it is the most iconic scene in the entire film.
I agree.
And the best.
Yeah.
It
in
is
my opinion.
wonderful.
It just. Oh man. I just love this scene so fucking much. It makes me smile just thinking about it right now.
It's a Frankie Valli song, right?
I don't know why it works as well as it does. It shouldn't work.
It shouldn't work as well.
It
You
should.
should find it too
I think
goofy.
it should.
It absolutely should work. I believe in it in every
So
point of the film because.
Yeah, sorry.
But I don't
Okay.
think it is that goofy in the world we live in. Is people are getting
You're
shot in the
just too
butt
good at
and
it.
like having these ridiculous house. Like this is a pretty extra world.
Yeah.
And he starts it off fairly normal.
he
he
just decides to sing all of a sudden, and
Yeah, because throw yourself on the altar of what's it? Throw yourself on the altar
Indignity
of Vin Diesel of
Yeah.
indignity. She's embarrassed, so he needs to embarrass himself to balance it out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an act of like
I'm saying
it's
it
of
is.
love.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It is.
I just think
He's-
that on paper, it maybe would have been a weird concept to get behind initially. I don't know. It's so large.
I've never thought, oh, this is strange. I was like, yep, in it. And I kind of think it lands within the world. I've never questioned it like
when
this.
the band kicks
brass
in and she
band,
turns around and man, and his
Awesome.
moves are so smooth.
He evades the cops and he does the
And
little
the
jazz run.
cheeky little trickster.
Yes.
Also, pretty good singer.
He's
It's
got
a bit
great
high for
voice.
him, but that's all right.
Right at the end, you hear the strain, and it adds to the charm. You're
Absolutely
like, he's
does.
pushing to get that last
And
bit out.
what's great about it is it's a real vocal.
Yeah.
It's not like this, well, we're to auto-tune this bit. It's just like, there you go.
That's just Ledger. He was
What a
wonderful in
Heath
this.
legend.
What a legend. There's the spectrum between goofy and charming, and it's riddled with cringe potholes, and he misses every single one of them. He's always just hitting that right balance, which is a feat.
Which
Now,
I think
is
is just testament to his commitment because
Yeah.
he just does it.
Does A
believes.
Knight's Tale follow this?
Yeah, Knight's Tale's like 3 years after, maybe even only 2 years. It's in the quite early 2000s. We were looking at
This
Ledger's.
is also Shakespeare. I forgot about this one.
Yeah, it's 2 years after.
Well, Knight's Tale is not Shakespeare.
Is it not?
No. It references Geoffrey Chaucer because it's got Paul Bettany as Chaucer in it.
Why
but
did I
it's-
think it was
It's,
referencing
it's,
Shakespeare?
it's just got like the Middle Eastern, Jesus Christ, the
No,
Middle
probably
Age
not.
properties to it.
Yeah.
There's something remarkable about Ledger's filmography. He was in 18-ish movies. About 6 or 7 of them you could straight up say either don't exist or were just so low budget they were whatever. And then of the 12 that are left, probably 4 or 5 of them you could go, do we really care about Casanova? Do we really care about the Brothers Grimm? So you've left with
Lords of Dogtown.
Lords of Dogtown. So you're left with The Patriot, a movie people really like. A very small role in Monsters Ball, but a very pivotal role. Devastating in that.
Candy.
This movie, Candy, Two Hands, Dark Knight, Brokeback Mountain, and I guess you could make a swing for Parnassus as his final role. There's like 7 or 8 movies really in his canon, and he has one of the most outsized legacies of any actor of the last 30 years. No one will forget.
Because
Heath
I
Ledger.
think, like, obviously there's been a lot of actors in their time that have been taken before their time, sorry.
Yeah.
I think that Heath Ledger is the one. I think that he's probably the one that people said he was taken far too early. He's the top of the top.
And of the legacy of films, is like look
Yeah.
at the turn he was starting to
Seriously,
make. Look at
just
the films
starting
he was.
to hit it.
Yep.
Oh,
And we'll never,
So
ever get to know
devastating.
that.
And-
That is devastating.
I believe he's one of the most beloved people on set in the world. He was so down to earth, kind, and just loved
He
everyone.
set the
Like there's
benchmark
no
for what
judgment.
every actor should be striving for. I'm going to be honest.
But it's so weird because when he was cast as the Joker, we've probably spoken about we haven't, but everyone's known that when he was cast as the Joker, he was the laughing stock. It was like
It was
it's
very
Joker.
controversial.
Oh my
People
god,
were
this
like,
rom-com
"What's
guy,
Yeah.
You know?
he can't do it.
Well, then they were like Brokeback Mountain, but even so, what makes you think that makes him the Crown Prince of Darkness? Like, how is this going to work?
Not at all. Yeah,
Trailer
He's
drops,
so-
everyone loses their minds. Like, all right, well, this is going to be one of the greatest performances of all time, and then he dies. He dies before the movie even comes out.
Yeah.
Parnassus was a weird movie. I'm gonna be
Parnassus
honest.
is weird. He's good in it,
Yeah,
but it's
fine
not
in it.
much. It's
the
not
film
a full,
itself.
It's
It's
hard
only,
to
it's only sort
know.
of famous, I think, because of where it came out.
Well,
and
it's,
when it came
it's
out.
hard to. That's a hard one to know because you don't know what would have
What it
come
could have
from
been.
it.
Yes.
with
Yeah.
Heath,
For the
finishing
people
it
who
up.
don't know, he died in the middle of making Terry Gilliam's Parnassus and the
Imaginarium
Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. And there are sequences in that movie where he goes into another universe or another realm and he's replaced by Johnny
Colin
Depp,
Farrell.
Jude Law, and Colin Farrell in those different realms. And they do all share, especially at that time, a remarkably similar sort of visage.
They're made to look very alike. It's really good.
They all donated their
It's a-
salaries, I believe, to his family for that movie.
I believe that's correct.
Yes,
They did, yeah.
which was a good thing for them to do.
It's really sad to think about.
I know it actually.
What a guy.
Yeah.
What a handsome star with so much talent.
Yeah, I think maybe the only one who comes to mind besides him from the last few decades is Chadwick. I can't really think
Yeah.
of anyone else who we've lost who people go, that's insane. That
I
that
mean,
person's
I
gone.
stand
and
by
unexpected. This
Yes.
is another thing that
in
comes
the last
across.
couple of decades. You said
It's basically the 21st century. Like, who have we lost in the acting world where it's like they had so much more to do,
Well, I
and
think-
we had so
I
much
don't know if
more
this
we could see.
qualifies. River Phoenix was going to be huge.
River Phoenix was
Yeah.
I think the 90s, but I agree with you that if we
Yeah.
expand it to that far, yes,
Yeah, it
River
would
would be
have
up
been
there as well.
huge.
Yeah. I was about to make a joke. We've lost Shia LaBeouf, haven't we? I don't know where he is.
He's
Yeah,
back, boy.
we've lost Jonathan Majors.
He's
you know.
back.
Okay, Shia LaBeouf and Jonathan Majors aren't the same.
Yeah. Well,
No,
not the
they
same
don't look
conversation.
the same at all. I agree with you.
Jonathan Majors
I
wasn't
can
in
tell them
Transformers 1. Great
I
film.
want you, I need you, oh,
Oh baby,
oh baby.
May we talk? If we're going to say the most iconic moments of the movie, obviously his song "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You."
Mm-hmm.
Some of Bianca's lines, some of Krumholtz's lines,
Mm-hmm.
but of course it's the poem she reads at the end, which
Oh, had we not talked about that
it's
yet?
the first time watching it that it really got me this time, and I'm
It gets
feeling
me every time.
It had never gotten me before. It had
Really?
never made me emotional, and when she really starts to break, when she says, "I hate the fact that you're not around and the fact that you didn't call." But mostly what I hate is that I don't hate you, not even a little bit, not
making me
even at
well up
all.
right now.
It's
so
crazy
good.
how impactful it is. I never had that moment when I was younger.
I've never cried to rhyming verse.
Oh man, on that too. When the
No, but you know what I mean? It's,
No,
it
no,
could
no,
be
I
so,
agree.
again with the song and this
kills
should be
that.
so cheesy.
That's an amazing
a
moment
poem
from
in
her.
a class.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, oh, it was the first take, one take, well done, Julia. Like that's amazing, of course.
Yeah.
But it's just you just believe it, and it's like, who cares what they're saying, which is goes against everything
also
we're
a
talking
very
about.
very beautiful use. What I said before about using Shakespeare in the film, done very well.
And adapting it. That is the
They've done that
literally
very
that's
well.
the meta thing of this is a film adapted into like contemporary language, and
Yeah.
this is a character adapting Shakespeare into contemporary language.
One of the criticisms I
explore
heard
it.
was like, you got to adapt this sonnet. And she's like, she didn't do a sonnet. That's a poem.
That's
it's like, okay, shut
Jesus
up.
Christ.
Which is, yeah.
Also,
it's-
the teacher doing the rap,
Oh yeah.
it's the dope.
He's doing one of the sonnets. I can't remember which one.
pretty great though.
I think
That
it's
is
sonnet
fantastic.
71.
because it works so well as a rap.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of them do because they're in iambic.
It's like Jason Schwartzman in Funny People. You know who the first rapper was? Shakespeare.
Yeah, they're exactly the same.
Yeah. Hey, what's that show
both
called?
rhythmically cool.
Hey Teach. Yo Teach. That's what it's
Yo
called. Jason Schwartzman is teaching like black inner city youths in this sitcom. I love Funny People. I want to watch that movie.
That
again.
movie's too long.
That movie is long, but it is
All
also,
of Judd Apatow's movies are too long.
Yes. I believe This Is 40 is still running somewhere. I think they just
Yeah,
pressed
it's
play
40
on it and
hours
we
long.
all left the
That's
cinema.
what it is.
Yes.
Last one then before I'm guessing we're close to wrapping up, but we haven't done an MVP. Now I reckon this one's going to be tough.
Yeah, that is very difficult.
Yeah.
David Krumholtz.
Yeah. See, the more we've talked
Also-
about him today,
sorry.
the more I'm almost sold on him.
But you know-
I still think. Sorry, my original MVP that I've written down, and I think I'm going to stick, is actually Alison Janney.
Oh, yes, great shout. Great shout.
She's so good.
I'm audibly
always-
laughing at her every time I see her.
Yeah.
Every time, and I know what's coming.
Yep.
And it still gets me. So, but it's a shame she's such a small role in it.
Give her more.
When I was younger, I remember this like Mandela effect memory of the movie where I was like, yeah, she's in the whole film. Like she keeps popping up. And then I watched as I got older and I was like, did they cut her scenes out? Like where is she? She's
it
in
like
it for like
3 scenes?
6 minutes at the start and she's gone.
yeah.
But it's similar to all the teachers, Mr. Morgan, barely in it, and he's so funny. The detention teacher, whatever he is, the archery coach, who looks weirdly
Mr.
like
Shapen?
Steve Martin's
Shapen?
grumpy brother or
Yeah.
something. He's got a real Steve Martin look to him. He's so good, and he's just that you've got pot, don't you? I'm confiscating this. This too.
Do you know
So good.
who I did love this time and I've never, ever cared for was Andrew Keegan as Joey.
He's so
He's
good.
actually so
I
funny.
think he's really. I agree.
That was Swimmer. Let me show you underwear again. And he
Because
just does
he-
the same. It's just...
He shouldn't work in a way, and he commits so much
know-
to
yeah.
being the perfect douchebag.
He knows exactly who he is.
every ounce of him.
yeah.
The
It's
little
just
wink
good.
to the mirror.
It's good
the
casting.
headshot comparison.
Yes, everything
Crumb
about
Holt
it.
sits down. Are you lost?
Yeah.
Like he's so funny.
Yeah.
He's, I think, the danger of being so good in a movie like this is Kath was like, I kind of recognize all these other people. What happened to him? And I'm like, I reckon he walked into every casting room for the next 10 years. And they're like, oh, you're Joey. Do you want to be this dickhead bully? And he's like, no, I don't want to fucking keep doing that. And they're like, well, you're really good at that.
What
so
about?
it's kind of hard for us to not make
I think
that.
his best line is, "Oh shit, Bianca, I got a nose job shoot tomorrow."
Yes.
Nasal spray shoot. Oh, whatever it is.
Nasal spray tomorrow. Him coming out after Kat backs into the car. You bitch! Like just screeching.
What's his name? Really famous actor from the 90s from Full House. Uncle Joey. Wasn't he Uncle Joey?
Oh my god.
I don't know. I
Plays
never saw
guitar.
Full House.
Yeah. Famous. Anyway, he was like a heartthrob. Everyone just loved him. He was just... anyway, I feel like he could have played a young version of him, for example.
John Stamos.
John Stamos.
Oh, yeah. So similar.
He could have been a young John Stamos.
John Stamos.
Bob Saget.
Think whenever I hear Bob Saget, I think of JD, how he was trying to do a funniest home video with Tara Reid, but they had to keep pretending that he didn't have a case. He's like, now I'll never get to meet Bob Saget because they didn't do the video properly.
That's not why I remember Bob Saget.
And he's like, can we just go home and have sex?
Oh,
he's like, no, we have to get it right.
You think of Bob Saget because of Happy Gilmore?
No, because of the
Saget.
Tourette's guy. Famous YouTube thing. It was amazing.
Interesting. Is that not Bob Saget in Happy Gilmore, where he's the celebrity golfer? And he ends up
that's Bob Barker.
Yeah, it's
Bob Barker.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I meant. It's not Bob Saget, Bob Barker.
And Funniest Home Videos was Bob Saget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bob Barker's very funny in Happy Gilmore. They're both Bob. I
Anywho.
think you've had enough. No, now you've had enough. Julia Stiles is MVP for me.
Oh,
She is
Yeah, cool. Good choice.
so good.
It's amazing we're not calling Heath for it.
He's great.
Everyone's great.
Julia's role is so hard. Larry Miller's is as well, actually. But hers is so hard because she has to be a wet blanket and you have to be sympathetic towards her and be carried along.
impossible
by wanting-
line to walk.
Insanely
Yeah,
difficult.
yeah.
Her every scene when she is shutting people down and she is saying these predictable, like dismissive statements about like their meaningless consumer-driven lives and all this, and she's a little bit charmed by it when the two girls both finish off a sentence. She's like, "Oh, okay, like that's me, isn't it?" Like she kind of gets off on.
Even at the start of the film when she's in the car and pulls up next to those clicky little
Yes,
girls
bad
there in the
reputation.
the convertible. And even her reactions there are very understated and very like natural and not overplayed.
Yeah.
She's great.
I'm
I
almost
agree.
talking myself into liking the mum subplot a little more because it's the first time she freaks out when she sees Bianca wearing the pearls. And she hasn't raised her voice an inch before that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the moment where things actually come to the forefront is when she reads the poem. And you've just not seen anything. Like, you're not prepared for how emotional she's going to get in that scene.
Yeah.
No one in that room is. And that cut to Ledger just looking at her, just like, oh,
The look of love.
the look of love. An act of true love can thaw a frozen heart.
Marcus, who was your MVP? Did you say? You said Alison
Janney.
Janney.
Now I'm kind of thinking Styles.
Styles.
I
But
don't know.
here's,
I don't know what
here's
to
the
do.
thing. We've said this at the start. This cast is fantastic, top to bottom.
Bad for. I apologize to Larissa Orlanik. I think she does great work in this. You suck. Like, really good at that.
Yeah.
Even then Julia Stiles goes, you suck.
You suck.
And you're like,
Actually, no, fuck it. You just got me with that. Styles.
Styles.
Janney's an honourable mention for like no small actors, only small parts.
yeah,
of the deal.
that's true.
Larry Miller's mine for that. The fact that he's so overbearing, and you're like,
Small
I'm
actor. Yeah.
I'm not annoyed by him one bit. He's
why would
so
you be?
funny in every scene, and then at the end where he says the difficult thing about your daughter's getting older is you become a spectator. You know, you've had me on the bench for years, and then he pays for her to go to Sarah Lawrence. And when she hugs him, he doesn't know what to do for a second.
He
You know,
just
they
grabs
haven't
her
had that
arm
moment.
like that.
Oh,
beautiful.
Last bit,
Okay.
please. Go
on quick, really quick.
Joey coming to the door. Hello, Mr. Stanford. My name's Joey. I'm here to pick up your daughter. Withering stare, closes the door.
So
funny.
good. Is anyone throwing in? Throwing
Yeah,
up
I
further?
am. You ready?
Go on.
10.5.
10.5, better than American Beauty.
Thomas?
So your rating goes
Thomas,
American Beauty, 10 Things I Hate About You, Interview with a Vampire. Those are your top three movies.
No, you know what? Fuck it. 11. Fuck it. I can't.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's an 11. It's my
Still a
first
10.
11.
I love it.
Fuck
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to throw
10
it.
things is an 11.
I can't. I'm not throwing to
11
11.
things I love about this movie.
Yeah, it's a 10 for me. That was a fucking great time.
Oh, you went up to a 10.
Yeah, I mean, the music's already playing because the climax is the 11.
Yeah,
we're here to
it
have a
is.
good time.
It is.
10 things ahead
That's
about
it.
you.
It's the perfect film. It might be the perfect film.
Beautiful. Love to hear it.
It might be.
I love you
to
guys.
cry.
I love you guys.
Throw in the pound.
Wholesome.
Thank you for listening to Throw in the Pound.
My name's Tom.
Marcus.
And that was 10 things I hate about you. Hey, you should email us or DM
Tell us 10 things you hate about this podcast. It can't just be Frank 10 times.
But it also can.